Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at Nvidia. We do have a few updates impacting the overall AI market. I think investors should know. The company also did announce some recent news, and finally some other updates impacting Nvidia or the overall semiconductor space. So let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So the first topic I really want to talk about is there are rumors that TSMC is expected to increase its 3 nanometer price by 5%, and they're also increasing their advanced packaging by up to 20%. The number is somewhere between 10 to 20%. So first, let's start off with the 3 nanometer. So the 3 nanometer, this, in my opinion, is gonna impact probably more the mobile business and the laptop business if you're using 3 nanometers for your CPU and GPUs. The reason being, and for your kind of phone processors, the reason being is usually phones and all these other hardware companies aren't sold at a crazy margin. So any increase in prices like that can obviously impact maybe some of the margins in the futures. Usually TSMC does increase the prices of their newer manufacturing nodes because the company needs to continue to research, right? So they increase it so then they can invest more in developing the next generation. And usually the people that are buying the 3 nanometer chips are the ones that are going to buy the next generation because they always want to be using the top of the line chip. So nothing here that would worry me too much for Nvidia in forms of that 3 nanometer price increase. The second thing we saw is there are reports that, hey, look, they're going to increase the advanced packaging by up to 10 to 20% depending on I guess their product. Now, advanced packaging is something that AI chips do use, and a lot of companies like Nvidia, like AMD, they use it to create their AI accelerators. Now, I want to say for Nvidia, and I've talked about it in the past, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing, especially since Nvidia is selling most of its chips at a high margin. So it's, in my opinion, it's not going to impact them too much. Unfortunately, though, I do believe it might impact some of those companies that are selling their AI accelerators at not such a high margins. Maybe companies like Intel with their Gaudi accelerators, maybe companies like AMD and their MI300X, which are obviously being sold at a nice price, but nowhere near the premium that Nvidia sells its AI chips. So TSMC, it continues to evolve its advanced packaging. They are investing a lot of money in things like capacity right off the bat as demand is so strong. So I definitely understand why TSMC is doing this. And we can see TSMC stock has actually done really well, sitting at 177. Year to date, the stock is up 74%. In the past year, 70%. In the past 5 years, 337%. So TSMC is definitely benefiting right now with the overall shift that we're seeing in the AI, in the not just the AI market, right? We're seeing the growth in phones again. We're seeing the growth in laptops. We're seeing the growth in the PC space as well. So all that is obviously fueling TSMC. Now, I've mentioned in the past, and I haven't looked at it yet, but for me, I'd rather invest instead of TSMC in maybe a semiconductor index. We can see in the past 5 years, the stock is up 408%. Year to date, the stock is up 61%.
Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode.
Now, next we are going to take a closer look at some recent Nvidia news. Actually, I have one more. So there's this one where right now there are some talks that there's going to be a big reshuffle in some ETFs to follow the overall market. And because of the recent rise up in Nvidia's market cap, that there are going to be some ETFs that are going to be spending supposedly some billions and billions of dollars in purchasing Nvidia stock. So obviously that can create a nice bullish trend for Nvidia and a nice bullish sentiment. So something that maybe short-term investors might want to know about. I think this isn't anything that long-term investors should consider. It's going to be more just noise, even though that noise might be bullish in the long term. Now, Nvidia did have what was at a recent event, which is CVPR, and this is their computer vision and pattern recognition conference. And in this conference, Nvidia did announce pretty cool solutions. First, they did kind of showcase this huge, large indoor synthetic data set. Right now, we are kind of going into this world where we're going to have smart cities, smart homes, smart robotics, and to kind of have all these types of smart solutions, you need to train them. And to train them, you need to have data. So right now, most of the data is usually collected in real world. So it's sensors collecting data and then being used to train. But NVIDIA is helping kind of bring synthetic data, which is data that is made by computers, but that follow the physical world. And the reason they are doing this is because it helps to improve the training data set. It helps improve kind of the AI models. And it also allows for the ability to do a lot of what if scenarios. I mean, if you think about it in the autonomous vehicle market, I always kind of throw this random case, but it's like, what happens if a meteor is flying down and it's going to crash right in front of the road where a autonomous vehicle is driving? You can't really test that in real life, and you really wouldn't want to test that in real life, but you need to know what your vehicle would do in such a scenario. That's such a crazy scenario, but I think it really paints the picture of how this synthetic data can be used to kind of do a lot of what if scenarios, to be able to make sure that, hey, look, things are safe before implementing it into the real world. So NVIDIA continues to drive solutions there. They also kind of talked about announcing a new Omniverse microservices to supercharge physical AI and kind of help robotics all over the world, from being mobile robots, humanoid robots, autonomous vehicles, robotic arms, and this is by having that physical synthetic data that follows the physical world. So right now, this is, well, the solutions, in my opinion, that they provided and announced aren't anything revolutionary. It is what's going to help the next company develop that big autonomous vehicle, or that big robotics, or that big robotic arm, or that big humanoid robotics that could be a $1 trillion company or a multi-billion, $100 billion company, and is going to be thanks to NVIDIA. So they're most likely going to use NVIDIA's solution for the future. So this is how NVIDIA kind of creates markets. They kind of give the data out there and let the other companies out there create a market out of it. And then NVIDIA can benefit by being able to sell its software, its infrastructure, its hardware solutions, and AI expertise. So overall, bullish in the news because it helps kind of follow that trend of the autonomous market and autonomous robotics, but not necessarily anything that should drive the stock price right now. Now, the final thing I want to talk about, generative AI. In the past week or so, we've seen a lot of generative AI companies that build generative videos based on text or images announce their next generation model. And this is pretty impressive. I mean, some of these prompts are pretty cool, and we can see this video is AI generated, but looks amazing. Now, when I think about it, it's like, hey, look, we're still in early innings if most of these generative AIs can only create a 10-second clip. But what happens in the future when they will be able to create 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10-minute clips, the amount of computational power you need, not to just create that, but to train that foundational model for that form of video solutions. In my opinion, it's like, yo, we are still in early innings of the AI market. So Runway did just announce their Gen 3 Alpha. We also saw other companies like Luma Labs announce their AI video solution as well. So again, we're just here in early innings. And in my opinion, we're going to continue to see some crazy training and some crazy generative AI solutions in the future. So that's all I have for now. I do believe there's a lot of kind of excitement in the AI market. We see it with that AI solutions in generative video. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.